This episode is brought to you by The Guarantors. Chasing down residents who don't pay their rent is taxing enough. Did you know you could offset the risk of renter default? Meet The Guarantors. They'll requalify your applicants and insure their rent. If the resident doesn't pay, you still get paid. Visit theguarantors.com/multifamily today. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Paul Marks, co-founder of Multifamily Media Network, and his podcast, Decoding Multifamily. And if you hadn't had a chance to subscribe and or listen to an episode of Decoding Multifamily, I would really encourage you, whatever your podcast playing mechanism of choice is, to run over there and subscribe to Decoding Multifamily. Paul Marks, who also runs Multifamily Matters podcast, actually radio show. So for those of you who don't know Paul, he is a wonderful human being. So that being said, let's jump into today's episode of Multifamily Collective. There's a lot of multifamily names these days, so I oftentimes confuse them or use them in inappropriate context. So, or not the appropriate context. So anyway, the episode for today is a statement that I think we, as leaders, as individuals, as human beings on this planet Earth, would profit by. And that statement is, I needed to hear this today. And I think it especially applies in the area of hearing things that you don't necessarily agree with. If you hear something that is counter to the way that you see the world, the way you view the world, the way that you are used to practicing, the way that you are used to showing up in the world, I would encourage you to say, I needed to hear that today. And the second step there, the and one, if you will, is to actually sit back and consider the statement that was made to you, the piece of information that you are taking in. It doesn't mean that you need to change your belief. It doesn't mean that you need to change anything about who you are as an individual. It just means that you should and you would profit by considering those alternative opinions out in the world, those opinions and or sometimes facts, at least facts as it relates to other ways that people view the world, and just highly consider them. And where you can profit by, beyond just listening, beyond just processing, where you can profit by implementing some of that different view of the world into your own thought process and or that thing that you have a staunch belief in, you will be better for it for two reasons. The person who gave you that information will feel respected. They'll feel heard. They'll feel seen. They'll feel validated in the way that they show up in the world. And then you, secondarily or equally, could be changed or shifted in a way that is profitable to you. I don't mean profitable in the way of money, but it's profitable to you in the way of being a better human. It'll change you if it changes you, if it's worthy of changing you, right? You are the arbiter of your own truth. You can take facts and opinions out of the world. At the end of the day, you have to determine where and how you're going to show up in the world, but be open to the stimulus in the world. Now, I'm not suggesting or going so far as to say the extremes in the world, you just have to figure out how to filter those out of your ecosystem. I'm talking about people that are good, awesome humans who are reasonable in their rhetoric and the way that they position themselves in the world. I'm talking about that group of people, which is the large majority of individuals, no matter where they fall on any sort of ideological landing, no matter where they sit. There are these polar ends, right? But most people are in the middle or here, and they're absolutely reasonable and wonderful humans, and we should all be open to facts and opinions that come in that way. That's it. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.